Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dr. Com and welcome back to the Storm Islands. It's been a while since the last video, I'm sorry for that, but I was not satisfied with what I've built, but finally I'm done, yay! Also maybe another reason for not putting out the videos for so long was my vacation in Scandinavia, especially in Norway and Sweden. So please excuse me for that, but in return I got some inspiration from those countries. Also, of course, some very nice pictures and fond memories of visiting those countries. And especially I was in the cities, not really hiking, which is a bit of a shame. I didn't have the proper shoe work. Anyway, I got some really nice inspiration because, as I've stated before in this series, what have I stated before with the location of this island chain? Yes, you guessed it. This island chain is located in Norway. I initially said Scandinavia, but it's Norway. Trust me, I'm an engineer. Anyway, I had to refresh my my picture of Norway because I was there 3 years ago, but I mainly was in the north. I didn't really visit the south of Norway. By the way, with the north I mean like the North Cape and such, and with the south I mean Oslo and Bergen and Stavanger. Anyway, I was there now. In Bergen, for especially, I took some inspiration. Some would be an understatement. I took quite a lot of inspiration from there, or I had now the proper ideas in mind how I want to build stuff. Especially the city. I actually built the city already, but then I scrapped it and I built it again and I scrapped it again because I didn't know what I was doing. But now I think I know it now, so the next episode will be the city, by the way. But this episode is, first of all, as you can see, a road construction, because I wanted to do it, and also because I wanted to have a bypass from the ferry terminal directly to the main road, and not through the city, how it is planned to be. But I didn't want the bypass to be functional. It should just be there, not really used. And this is the best way of creating a road that's not used. A road on this construction. So yeah, it cannot be used because it's not finished yet. The reason I want to make that bypass is obviously because other way. All the people from the ferry terminal would have to drive through the city center, which would obviously put much stress on the roads there, because that's an old city center and the roads are not really expandable to any way, so there's not really space for anything. So I put this bypass sort of like in an effort of the local government to make investment into the infrastructure of this island chain, which is this investment is like going on for a couple of years now. So there are quite a bit modern things in the island chain, not just old and rusty things, but also modern things. The investment is part of a plan to make it more attractive for tourists, or no, that's a wrong directive. To make to make the infrastructure ready for tourists, because there, like cruises or cruise ships are docking on this island chain because of the beautiful nature of this island chain. So the government obviously has to react and invest into the infrastructure. So a part of this is this bypass, another part is a railway, which will be made in a future episode. We'll talk about that once I create the city and the first railway station. Don't get ahead of us. What I'm doing right here is my imagination of how a swamp in this island chain should look like. It is a very small thing. It's more like a model for me to look upon when I'm creating a proper swamp. I have some ideas where I want to put swamps, and this is just like a mock-up or a sketch or the beta test of a swamp. So yeah, I really like how it's turned out with the interaction between the greens and also to get those gray old grasses and the rocks and the white flowers and everything. But now we are getting into what actually is in the title of this video. It is the farm. So who guessed it? We are building a farm today. This farm is inspired by a farm that I've seen in Sweden while traveling by train from Göteborg to Oslo. The train came across this farm, or drove by this farm to be proper, and it is not a precise rebuild of this farm. It is more like a farm that catches the spirit of this Swedish farm that I've seen, and I really liked it. So yeah, this is just my imagination toying around with the theme that's defined by that one farm. Unfortunately I can't say you where this farm is exactly. I would, but I can't. That's a bit unfortunate. We were on the train. I had no idea where we were. It is between Göteborg and Oslo. Now you can search. That's quite a long road. That's quite a long distance. Anyway, it is sort of like a proper Scandinavian farm. Obviously, all the barns and the house are painted red with white accent colors, like it has to be in Scandinavia. Maybe the barns are a bit too big for the farm, but I don't care. I don't care. It's just I just had this idea of the farm, and then I just built away. I didn't really make a plan or anything, so I just built away. So that's how this farm was created. As you can see, I locate the buildings around the central space. It is a very, very easy layout for a farm, or basically for anything. Just have every building along the central plaza, or in this case it's not really a plaza, it's just a shared space between those buildings. And this barn that I'm building on right now, this is supposed to be like the barn for the livestock. You can see pigs here. I will also put down some cows in just a second. Unfortunately, I could not really build this pig enclosure, or how I wanted it to be built. I wanted it to have a bit more brown and a bit more green colors on the ground, but unfortunately the decals are a bit too big, and I don't want to make those enclosures much bigger. So yes, I let it there. I put down some greenery around it and a dead tree, because a dead tree needs to be on every farm. I live near a couple of farms, and every single farm of there has at least one dead tree. I don't know why, but that's the rule of thumb, probably. I don't know farming. I'm not really. Yeah, I'm technically living in the countryside, but then again, I'm living like 12 kilometers of a big city center, so it's not really too much of a countryside. But I figured with this enclosure for the cows, I put down some trees. Reasoning for this is to have some shadow, the cows to have some shadow, and ideally these trees would be like fruit trees, maybe apple trees or so. Maybe because the farmer wants to have apple trees, but he doesn't have space for them, so he just plants them inside the enclosure. Why not? Another reason for them being here is wind breaking, because wind is always a problem, or is always something that you have to factor in when you build something on the coast or on an island, especially in the Atlantic, or also in the Pacific, because the wind is can be quite aggressive sometimes, and to have some wind breaking going on with tree lines and also trees everywhere is always a good method of getting rid of wind without putting up walls or so. As I said, this is in Norway, not on the US-Mexican border. I know this joke is very old. Sorry. Now I put down this farm field. This is the first time I use those decals. I don't actually know from whom they are, but they are really nice. Only thing that I could complain about them is that they are a bit big. They are squares. You could see me placing down those squares of the farms, and I'm putting down another farm right now, so you could see, or now, oh, not now, in just a second. I will put down another field, not a farm, it's a field, sorry. But as I said, the problem is that these are big squares, and I don't want to have square farm fields, because this is Europe, not North America, and especially this is a small island chain, so you don't really have the space for large fields. But every single bit counts, in this, you could say. Now, as I'm putting down this other field, you can see it. Here with all those big big fields, I would have liked to have a smaller version of this, and maybe even a circle with the same texture but in a circle shape, so you could make some edges to the fields. I'm putting down the grass for now. It is not optimal, because normally you don't really see a field ending and then just grass spreading, or even trees. Normally there's like just patch of dirt in between to, for all those unwanted plants that they don't grow inside the field, and also for the tractors to move around. And now you could hate on me because I've put down a green field besides a yellow one. So a ripe field and not a ripe field. I don't know if you say ripe on fields. I don't know. I don't know anything. I just wanted to put down some field. I initially had the idea to make a scout camp there on this lawn. As you sometimes see the farmers lending their fields for to scouts, to scout groups. Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, any Scouts. There are also scout groups in Europe. Mind equals blown. Anyway, I wanted to do that, but unfortunately I didn't have any tents or anything. So I keep this idea in mind for the next time. But until now, I'm creating another field, which is this field, as you can see by the color. It's already harvested, and I put down some hay bales in just a second, but you have to wait for that just another minute while I'm decorating this farm field. By the way, decoration. What did I want to say exactly? I had a very good segue into the following topic, but I've forgotten it. I should have wrote it down. Anyway, lag. That's a topic that I've experienced now for the first time. Normally, City Skylines is, as you may know, very, very lag-tastic, unfortunately. For me at least, in this island chain, it was not a problem until now, because I didn't really decorate large areas with loads of props and trees. Until this episode, where I decorated large areas with props and trees. So I experienced some stuttering. I think the frame rate when when I'm close and all the trees and all the bushes are rendered in here on this farm, I get like I think 20 FPS or a bit less. But that's not a problem because that's a graphic visual lag. And you can avoid the lag by just not looking at the area. That's wow, that's a best idea 2017 to avoid lag. Don't look at laggy areas. So I'm sorry, I'm joking. Yeah, why do I have to apologize? There's nothing to apologize for. Anyway, here putting down the A-bales. Yeah, lag. Lag is always a thing in City Skylines. I see on Reddit there are people complaining about lag, getting ridiculous with 70,000 people, inhabitants or anything, or with tons of props like I'm having here. But there are two types of lag in City Skylines. The first one is the visual lag. I don't know the proper terms, by the way, but please don't quote me on that. But the visual lag, as I call it, is like the lag that's put on your graphics card. And that's basically produced by you putting down so many trees and props like I'm doing here. And the other type of lag, which is far more nasty than that one that I've just said, is the population lag. I don't have a cool word for that. Sorry. But what this means is the lag that's produced by agents. And if you don't know what agents are, every people in the city is basically an agent, or every moving citizen in the city is an agent. All the cars, all the ambulances, hearses, fire trucks, anyway, everything is an agent, and everything is is loaded by the processor. And as you can imagine, if a processor has to load 70,000 people and calculate every single computer tick or computer frame where those people are going and what they are doing, you can imagine the lag that's or the weight that's put on the processor. So that's also some advice for you. I always see people asking what they should upgrade. You can make a test. You can put down 1 million props, and then if it without any inhabitant, and when it lags, it's the graphics card. And then you can make a city with 1 million inhabitants without any props, and look if it lags. And if it lags, then it's the processor. So that's basically it. And obviously I have a good processor and a good graphics card, but I've put down a bit too many props in this area. But I hope I can control myself in the future, because I'm a big fan of putting out props. If you are too, then you could leave a like, because we're already at the end. Sorry. No, we're not at the end right now. If you looked at the time, there's still 1-2 minutes left. And the last minute, I wouldn't miss it if I were you, because there are some cinematics of what we have just built in high definition. So check that out, and also check out my live stream that I'm doing tomorrow evening. I'm putting down, or tomorrow evening, it's Saturday evening by posting this video. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.